What's up? What's up? What's up? I am so excited.
I am so happy to see you. Thank you for having me on today. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good over here. We got that East Coast thing going on over here now.
Yes, honey. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, I know we can tell you who I have on here with me. I am so excited because, as you guys know, I've been following the whole We5 just thing. Folks have been coming on the show. They've been talking about it. And this dude right here, we're introducing John. He is on the show. He's coming on here. He's a fellow podcaster. He's out there with the drummers, the guitars. He's a syndicated boxer, and he is in We5 and another upcoming project as well called Money Run. So let's get into this.
You're making me tired just hearing that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a lot of stuff. But thank you for the accolades. And yes, it was amazing to be a part of We5. Great cast. I do love what I saw from the pilot, and working alongside of great actors, and just being a part of a production with Eric Roberts and Eliza Roberts was just so amazing. And it was kind of crazy how it all came together, you know. Dude, he is like one of the coolest guys you can meet. Like, I have the honor and privilege
saying this
to be his friend. I have the honor and privilege to be his friend. And the things that they're giving me to do in terms of, like you mentioned, Money Run, a production we'll talk about in a moment, and just being casted and, you know, having them give the security in me to do a good job, which is absolutely insane because I wasn't an actor. This came out of nowhere by way of podcasting.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I mean, like all of the things that I listed drummer, syndicated boxer, and then acting. So, like, you know, I know that we jumped into the acting and everything, but before we were on here, you had mentioned boxing and you mentioned acting together. So, like, could you kind of like elaborate, how did the acting even come about?
Okay, so it's a great collaboration between, you know, acting and boxing, because you just have to go. There is no stopping. Like, you just have to do it. And when your call time comes up, you got to go, you know, and go with the flow. Otherwise, you know, they'll throw in the towel on you. And that's very similar to acting. Now, how I started in acting was actually with We5. I've been a podcaster for a while. I was doing, and it ties into boxing, I was covering boxing for Sirius XM, a great show called Ring Talk. Pedro Fernandez, who was my mentor. I covered a lot of boxing events. And the thing is, I wanted to transition, and I still do a boxing pod. I still do a UFC pod and mixed martial arts pod. But I kind of wanted to like start talking to actors, like for whatever reason. I wanted to start just messing around with picking different people's brains, like a guy that, you know, is a film producer or an artist or a painter or a musician, you know, like myself. And so I transitioned over to that. And then the next thing I know, within a couple months, someone hit me up from the We5 production, actually one of the showrunners. And they were like, you want to act in a show? And I said, there's so many crazy things going on in the world at this time with the COVID and whatnot. I was like, crazier things could happen. I'm like, you know what? F it. I'm going in there. Like, the worst I could do is they tell me I suck. Right. and so I go all over the place, and we're traveling everywhere. And I was just so happy to have the opportunity. And if it wasn't for the cast members, if it wasn't for, you know, I'm not going to say cheerleaders, but people that helped me, because I'm raw, like I'm new, you know. So once I got, especially like a couple major scenes I had, there was one actress, her name's Robin, and she was so excellent with working with me. And that's what really brings it together. So, and then from there, it kind of just went to like, hey, people are asking me, you want to do a commercial? People are asking me, do you want to do this? And I'm like, sure. And then you want to do stunt training, and you want to go here and do that and another role. And then I got this amazing opportunity with Money Run, which has a great cast of very similar personnel. That's what We Five. And I'm just so delighted. And then I saw an early treatment of it, and I can't give too much away, but they gave me a
Ooh.
lot to do. They gave me a lot to do, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is now real. This is
This
like
is
serious.
real.
It's
This
not
is
just like
real.
one or two scenes. Like I'm in the entire thing almost. Like that much I can say.
Wow.
I'm in it a lot,
Wow.
and I'm so
Wow.
thankful.
You know, I gotta ask you. Without, I know you said that, you know, because Money Run is in production. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay. So, ooh, I probably got to invite you back for part 2 for this. But can you give us like any sneak peek on your character or?
Well, I get to be me, which is excellent because the last time I had to do acting, I had to play like a very stoic, like federal agent, you know, and had to be like very stern. The cool part was though that a lot of women happened to like I had like a lot of complications, like a soap opera almost like type of thing with We Five, and which was cool because I'm like, okay, at least I got some things to do with some, you know, pretty ladies. And my, you know, I love my wife to death, but that's a, you know, that's cool. It's like a cool character to
Look,
play.
look, she gonna be sitting here with that wine, like,
Yeah, she's gonna be like, what did you just say right now?
what did you say?
But oh, I got a funny story for you about We Five production. All right.
Okay.
There was a scene I was doing with the woman I was telling you about, and she was an excellent actress. And I was supposed to be kind of like romantic with her, and I couldn't get it right because I've been with the same woman for 7 years. So now I'm gonna fix myself. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't touch her head the proper way and rub her hair the way the director wanted it.
You're like,
So I'm like shaking her up. Like I'm like messing her up. She looks all like, and she's and the only time I ever heard cut, and she's like, cut. They're like, cut. Everyone's like, cut. And I'm like, oh man, I'm really messing up right now. So so then I said like, how about I just like put my hands under her chin because I'm supposed to bring like her head up, like I'm supposed to bring her chin up, like bring her spirits up because I couldn't for whatever reason. I was like this, like, you know, I know that some people listen on audio and they don't maybe see it like on video, but I was clapping her up, man. Like I couldn't get it right. And I told my wife, and she's like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get the scene right? I'm like, I can't be romantic with another woman. You know, I've been with you so I'm repairing myself. I'm not just saying it.
You got to prepare yourself, but you know that should make your wife feel really good because I have done scenes where I hadn't been like I wasn't romantic or anything, but they played my spouse or whatever, and my whole mindset is like, and my husband will be sitting right there like, good job, and I'm like, thank you, dear. You know, it's like the whole mindset. You really got to kind of just like let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. Release and let it go.
Yeah, it's acting. That's all it is. It's acting. And you know, you asked about Money Run. Money Run is going to be a very fun production. I will tell you a little bit about my character. Like I said, I get to be more like me, which is great because the last time around, although I feel very strong about the performance, it's like I'm a very like you could tell like I'm loose, like you know, I'm like over here now, like we're East Coast, so I get to do that. And I get to have freedom with my character. And we are going to shoot a lot of my scenes in Las Vegas. And I'm very excited.
Vegas. Yes, honey.
That's where I live. And I'm excited to shoot out here. We're going to do other locations. There will be other locations. I could say that it's a period piece. It's kind of vintage. It throws back to the 80s, which I love. That much I can reveal. We're going to have a banging soundtrack because if it's the 80s, you got to have a banging soundtrack.
Yes, honey. Yes.
I got to change a little bit about my physical appearance. That much I could tell you. I can't reveal why, but
let me see. 80s. What was that like? Was it the punk rock, the mohawk with the color? Are you gonna do that, or are you gonna do the flip to the, flip to
the flock of seagulls?
Yes.
Yo, you're awesome.
Oh my God.
Okay, you're
about
onto
80s,
something. You're onto something there.
Yeah, I'm on to something. I'm on to something. Speaking about the 80s, I don't want anybody to do any flashback pictures of me in the 80s, because I did have the big hair up here. I did do that, and the ton of hairspray. That was me. Like,
did you do the Aquanet?
Yes, awkward. Oh my God! Was you there? I mean,
well, I'm gonna tell you that's an East Coast thing. Like my father, before work, he was in real estate. He was also a musician. He used to spray that. You could smell that a mile away. Like that Aquanet. Like I'm surprised we're still alive. We breathe that.
Yes, because you walk into the fog. You're like,
that's 100% correct. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've used it when I used to have spiky hair. Now I'm growing my hair out for a role and I have to change a lot of my appearance. And again, I can't reveal why, but it's like the hairspray.
Part 2, guys. He's already saying he can't reveal why.
I can't reveal why. We're coming close to when I can. But it's like now I'm back to like hair gel, because I mean this thing is like growing out, and and now
I looked at the screen over here. If you see me looking, I'm looking at the screen. I can see you better over here. I see you growing a little something. Yeah, I see it.
Hopefully by the time we do production, I might have to wear a wig. I don't know. I know I have to shave. I know I got to change a couple of physical features and whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Like great production, great cast coming your way. They started filming some things already. I know that I have my assignments coming up after I go train in martial arts in California this weekend. And that has nothing to do with production. Want to shout out my boy, Adam McKinley, who's my sensei, and we get together every once in a while. It's like a stepbrother situation. Like we have matching pajamas. Like how weird is that? But we still train martial arts, so I can still say we're badasses. But it's
you said matching pajamas. Yeah. I'm sorry, I gotta see that. I'm sorry.
You'll see some pictures. You'll see some, and his wife got it because. Okay, let me tell you something. We'll go to podcasting. All right, so I meet all these wonderful people like yourself, and I've had some great guests on, and a lot of these guests are by way of wonderful people like yourself that recommend and say, hey, bring this person on. So I had Sean Cannon on my show a couple times. Was in Karate Kid Part 3, does Studio City, and has some other projects coming up, and he's an awesome guy. So he's like, would you mind interviewing my sensei? And I'm like, oh, no, absolutely not, man. Like anyone you recommend, I think you're good people. And so I bring them on. Long story short, my wife, she's hearing the interview when I'm kind of like going through it, making sure it's all like cool and whatnot before I post it. And she's like, my God, that's your brother. Like, what just happened here? And then the guy's wife sent me a picture of Step Brothers, like the cover, the art cover for the film, and inserted our faces.
I love that. Yeah.
And I'm like, and then next thing I know, like we're doing karate in the garage, literally. And I'm like, hey man, you like guacamole?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Hilarious.
That's what's up. But that's what makes the world beautiful. And like I said, when I met Eric, I was telling you, on a private call about it. Just a great guy, just really cool and great to be around. Like when you meet people, and I mention this a lot, and even when I do pods or meet them in person, which I've had the opportunity to do, and they don't disappoint. They're not, butt heads. Like they're really just cool, down to earth, like appreciative, normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the entertainment business, about this. How often do you see normal?
Yeah, I've seen all types of personality. People that you're thinking is like 100% cool. You meet them and they have like no personality whatsoever, and you find yourself cracking up to your own jokes, and they're looking at you like, I meet them all. But it's really good. It really is good to meet somebody that is like what you think they are. It really is. And Eric, everybody that came on here is like, he's cool. He's a
He's
cool guy.
mad cool. He is one of the coolest down to earth guys. Like he's great with also like not only when I hung around him and watched him on set act, which I think was one of the greatest things I've seen because I learned a lot about acting. Like he could just go right into character and get right out of character. Like he's such a consummate professional, and he's so great to the people around him. Like he's someone that will they offer to like the staff, like, hey, can I get you a water? I actually have waters in my refrigerator in my dressing room. Would you like a water yourself? Like he'll flip it. And
Mhm.
that's really cool, man. Like a lot of people don't do that sort of stuff. And
Mhm.
like in the industries that I've worked in music, Bobby Kimball, Toto, same way, down to earth, Evander Holyfield, boxing, like,
Oh wow.
oh man, I
He's on
had
my bucket list to interview. Oh my goodness.
he is so incredibly engaging.
Oh.
When I did an interview, and this is so beautiful that I had the opportunity to actually do it in person. And like when I met him, he was so nice, and
Mm.
he just, was so open about how to hook someone off. And then he went into like from boxing to like earth, wind, and fire and music and women. And
Wow.
and I'm like, this is wild, dude. Like I'm like, and he was so nice and so great. And then I asked him, I'm like, could we please take a photo together? I'll send you this photo. And he's like, he no hesitation. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, bring it in. And you can almost
Come
see
on in. Bring it
I
in,
have
guy. Come
I
on.
have like bromance tears in my eyes, man.
You're like, you said romantic.
I had bromance tears. I think I invented it because you could tell, like, I'm like, this is my hero. This is why I got into boxing. And I'm like, and dude, he's like built like, I don't know, man. Like he's a big dude. He's got a
I was
big
gonna ask
face.
you, like, is he as huge as he looks like he's on TV? Because he looks
Yeah,
huge on TV, so I could just imagine.
enormous.
Oh wow.
Enormous. Like, and he's only the weird part is he's only 6'2", but his weight category usually was between like 210 to 225, but he looks stacked and jacked.
He's probably all just no body fat, just all pure
Nothing, no body fat.
muscle.
And he still looks great.
Wow.
And he's like 50 years old. I mean, he looks like he reversed time, like he time traveled or something. I don't know what's going on
Wow.
with him.
Wow.
Oh.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, but
You've met some pretty amazing people. Oh my goodness. Oh
I'm
my
so honored.
goodness.
I'm so
Huh?
honored. So honored.
Wow. Wow. So, I mean, have you ever had anybody that you interviewed that it was like you just couldn't get any information out of them? Like the more you ask them questions, it was like yes, no, or nothing. I mean, how do you deal with that?
There's times where it can be stale, and what I do is I pick and choose my battles. And I think you probably know about this, is that I like kind of like talk to someone and feel them out like via texting, or sometimes I interview someone without even having a phone conversation with them, which is
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. And sometimes it works out,
Mm-hmm.
like Callie Ree's like a great female fighter. She was probably one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. I had never
Wow.
spoken to her, but we had absolute, I almost said the F-bomb. I had an absolute blast with her, and she was just so incredibly cool. And then again, my wife is like hearing it. She's like, my God, this is like a sister to you. And now we're like great friends. You never really know what to expect, but what I try to do is make sure that the person's kind of like on, I'm not going to say the same wavelength as me, but like has something to have a relation to, like something that's cool and fun and positive. Like I don't talk politics on my show. I don't talk, any kind of thing that goes on. Like I like to keep it just fun and positive and about the person and motivating. That's
motivating.
the word.
That's, I come to find out, to me, like I will sit and I'll listen to politics. I'll sit and I'll listen to, the yada, 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 whatever. But it is so much more interesting to find out a person's personality, what they're into. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, I say yada, yada, yada.
I was saying that the East Coast is coming out. That's why I pulled away from the microphone, because I was like, I'm laughing.
Yes, I
don't want to cut
yada,
you.
Yada. Oh my goodness, my kids, they get on me. What is it? It's gabbage. I say, bring me the gabbage, and they're like, what? I'm like, give me your garbage. Come on, give it.
It's funny because my stepdaughter, she's 12. She's lived in Vegas her whole life, but now she's picking up like a lot of my East Coast, like, East Coastisms, if you will, So she'll be like, oh, we got to take the garbage out over here now. Like she'll be doing like some things like that. And then now she's starting to pick up on Italian because I speak a little Italian.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's funny because now she's starting to pick up on it. And unfortunately, when you know how to speak Italian as an Italian American, guess what happens? You speak a lot of curse words. So now she's saying things and I'm like, whoa, don't, please. Please don't say that in public, because if someone researches what that is, it is so horrible. It's so terrible. But she loves it, and it's great. But let me ask you about your inception. Here goes me as the interviewer.
I knew you were going to do this.
You knew I always do it. It's inevitable. What started you in podcasting? You're obviously very smooth. You're very cool. You're very relaxed. I love the way you treat your pods. What started you?
Well, me, YouTube is really new. YouTube was like, my husband's been telling me for the longest, you got to do YouTube. And I was just kind of like, I didn't even understand it, right? But I had a radio show. We have a radio show, 106tvcradio.com is our station. And I've got a show on there. And I've been on there for like maybe, 3-4 years now. And prior to that, though, we had a TV show, a local TV show called Coffee Time. And it was me and Mama Denise. So I don't know if you've ever had a chance to catch her on the show with me. But she is like my ride or die chick. She's my mama in real life. And and she's a trip, and she is a New Yorker. She's got a cigarette in her mouth. Come here. That's her, right? But to answer your question, I know I'm all over the place, but to answer your question, as far as podcasting, it was just something that I looked at it and I enjoy it. I love talking. Anybody that knows me, I'll pick up, when Facebook did the live thing, like my husband hates Facebook now. He's like, you invented live, we're enemies, because I'm like always on live. And so I was like, well, why not do YouTube, get a little change,
Yeah, I mean, as a podcaster, like the YouTube, sometimes it hits really good, but iHeart and Spotify is great. Like I get a lot of, thankfully to my listeners and people that support the show. I do get a lot of clicks and a lot of hits, and I just get a wonderful a group of people that it just snowballs. It's like it goes from like, hey, you want to interview this person, want to interview that person, and it's all about connections, and it's all about keeping it real.
And
And
I love talking to folks. I love interviewing them. You
it's
know,
so fun.
I've had some amazing interviews, including a lot of the cast member from We5. And my most favorite interview is with this gentleman up beside yourself. You're up there on my top.
Oh, thank you. Oh man, I thought you're making me like, woo, I'm gonna start blushing.
Like,
I'm gonna get all red now.
like,
Yeah, I'm like, woo. Where's the fan? Where's the fan?
um is this guy named Nate Moran, you know, and his story. I love to hear their stories. I love to hear how they go from one end to the other. And so happened for him, he used to be homeless. He went from homeless to dancing all over the world to having one of the bestseller books out there. And it was just, you know, just talking about that. And I think like I had to at one point stop the live because I was crying because he just like, I
Yep.
was like, I couldn't like hold back. And you know, he's a really cool dude. He's like, everybody loves him. He does this mime thing, and he's at everybody's party. He's like, you know, we have this inside joke, like, where's Waldo? He's like he's he has the mime face, and he's like all over at everybody's party. He's on yachts, he's on boats, and this dude started being homeless, you know. So to me, I love podcasting.
I love stories, and that's why, like, to bring up boxing, that's why I got into it. I love people that come from, you know, bad situations, you know, and make themselves better. Like, yes, it is a very brutal sport, but they're out there trying to make their lives better, trying to course correct, you know, damage and trying to get through. And a lot of fighters, like, we're funny people, man. Like, we're more sensitive and funnier than most people think, you know. But going back to what you were talking about there about podcasting, I've had some moments where I almost cried on a show, which again, talking about a fighter being sensitive. Okay. I've almost had that. And I think I did. And I have to go back and look at it. I'm not sure. When someone gives you like a high compliment or whatever. But the thing is, like, the craziest thing is when you get a lot of reveal out of someone when they don't, like, when you're not pressing them, when they're not expecting them to do that. So I'm going to tell you what my craziest story is, and then I want to know what your craziest reveal is from a guest that you had. Mine was Steve Sharippa from Sopranos, who played Bobby Bacala. Okay.
Ooh.
And he was a great guest. We had an amazing time, and he's still a great friend to this day, and I love him to death. And he's one of the most honest people you'll ever meet on the planet. So he's got this voice, and I have to do it like him. He's like, hey, Johnny, what's the worst job that you've ever worked in your entire life? Because he wanted to ask me questions. And I'm like, well, I've had a couple, you know, they sucked and whatever. He's like, one time I was working on a pizza place and I had some douchebag. I'm sorry to use that word, but that's what he said. And he's like, I had some guy come in and he was just, I had to piss on his calzone. I'm like, wait, time out. And I swear to God, I could send you this show. I could send you, and then I'm listening to him and I'm dying of laughter. I'm like, wait a minute. So you like deep fried urination on a calzone, and he had no problem talking about it. He's like, yeah, this guy deserved it, man. And then I called him after the interview and I said, before I post this, are you okay with me putting that out there? He's like, I say what I say, and that's all I mean, and I don't care about nothing. All right. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, you
okay with this?
You admitted to urinating on someone's food. Are you cool? It happened 20 years ago. I don't give a shit. I'm like, okay. And then I post it, and then people like laugh at it. To this day, like when I heard it, and you actually watch the video on Zoom,
oh, wow.
like or on YouTube rather, like we did it via Zoom. I almost fall off my chair because I can't
Oh
believe
God, oh
I've
God. You gotta
never
give me the
heard,
clip so I can add it to this so people can see that because that sounds hilarious.
I've
I'm sorry,
never
I
heard,
haven't had any outrageous things like that. I
I've
did
never heard
have
anything
one.
like it.
I did
Yeah.
have one interview with this gentleman, and I was so excited. And and I didn't, we didn't have cameras or whatever. So I had my phone. So I put it in the phone and I went in the interview. And the whole time, I don't know what was going on, but it didn't record at all. And I
Oh,
get home and I'm like, oh. And to me, that could have been like the best interview.
oh man. As a showrunner, I understand that. Like, there's been times, and I call my wife. I'm like, "Please help me! Like, I can't find the show. Like, it says it recorded, but I can't find it." And she comes in 5 seconds and finds it. I'm like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." But no, it's a very complicated thing. Like, people have to understand, like, to do a podcast, to set things up, audio, video, like a lot of people, they think they have their game on point, like in terms of like a guest comes on. That's the biggest complication. And like they're using their cell phone outside, and it's like, this isn't working. I can't hear you, bro. Like, I can't see you, or whoever it is. And you're sitting there and you're trying to make everything work the best you can. And then now
Yeah.
you start getting anxiety on your side, thinking like you're
You
not doing
start
the right thing.
sweating and
Yeah,
you make a mistake.
exactly.
Yes. And I think that's what happened to me. I was so nervous. And I'm trying to do it and I'm trying to look all, professional, and I'm trying to be cute at the same time. And, the guy is sitting, I know he was drunk, and he's sitting there and he's like trying to stand up, and I'm like, take it, So hopefully he thinks that it was a drunken stupor. And, I think I had an interview with Dee Dee. I'm not sure. I hope that's what went down.
I don't think I've ever had. I've went through about, I'm gonna say, 60 some odd guests in the past 8 months, and I'm very happy about that. I don't think I've ever had anyone entirely lit, but I've definitely had people on that I looked at and I was like, you've had some fun today.
Ooh.
Yeah, you could tell a little something going on.
You had a little sauce. You had a little sauce.
But that's good because they get loose and they talk.
Nice and relax, and they have a good time. Yeah.
They tell you some crazy stuff. Like, there were so many times when I ran pods where I was like, I couldn't believe, like I was saying with Steve Sharippa, when he talked about the calzone and the urination on the calzone.
Hold up, time up. I gotta say this. The way you say it when he talks about the calzone, the urination.
I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, this is great. It's funny. I like the story because we're talking like friends, and he's that comfortable to let that go. Mm-hmm. And then I had to listen back, and I was like, Steve, is this cool? Yeah, it's cool, Johnny. I say what I mean. Okay. 100%. Go. I mean, you're okay with it? Again, publicly admitting to urination on food. Is that even a word, urination? Am I making a word up?
You're asking the wrong person, because I will mess up. There's a couple of things that I would do. I will mess up a name and I will make up a word. And I will feel the word means something, and then I will have you thinking it means something, and then you will use the word and be totally embarrassed about it.
That's New Jersey.
Just letting you know, you're asking the wrong person.
That's like the East Coast type thing where you just make things up. You just come up with your own words.
You come up with the Shabingsnicks, and everybody's like, yeah, the Shabingsnicks.
Yeah, and you sell it, and someone doubts you. You're
and
like,
it works.
no, this is. Yeah, because you sell it with the accent or the demeanor. the demeanor is very important too.
Yes, you got to be all cool with that quote.
But
Oh my goodness. I can
yeah.
sit here and talk with you forever. I do have to ask you this. What is next for you? You done boxing, you're doing the podcasting. I love it. I love it. Part 2, guys. We're bringing him back for part 2. Yes. So you did the boxing, the acting, We5, Money Run. What's next?
Okay, what's next is that, believe it or not, I'm recording an album with my band, drumming, and we're getting things rocking and rolling. And also, I'm going to take one last amateur fight. A lot of people think I'm crazy. I'm 42 years old. I'm in good shape. I feel very confident. I just want to I want to get back in there one more time in a boxing ring because I lost my last fight, and it really upsets me. Yep.
Oh, wow.
The last time I fought amateur, it really bothers me, and I want to go back in there one more time, and I feel like I can. I feel like I'm in very good shape. I've been training very hard, and I have the right people around me. What's also next is more great podcasts, like with people such as yourself, wonderful people. I have so many awesome people, like, in queue, and you can see me smiling right now, but the listeners that listen on radio, they can't see it, but it's wonderful fighters, professional fighters, heroes of mine. Also actors, musicians. And then the next acting project, I'll finally get to that, is going to be a couple of different things. Like, obviously there's the Money Run, and they're giving me a lot to do there. But I was also offered a couple other things with stunts, just doing like impromptus. I guess I'll call it side casting, where you come in and you fight and you do things in martial arts or boxing.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I love that. I think it's so fun. When I got reveal about Money Run, the producer today was like, "You already have a fight scene, like one scene into the film." I'm like, "Yes."
Ooh, honey.
I'm like, "Give me that fight
I gotta
scene."
see this. Okay.
I'm like, "Give me that fight scene, man." Like, but I have a couple other things lined up. I have to give all the credit to people like yourself, Eliza Roberts, Eric Roberts. For whatever reason, they just have been great to me and giving me roles and giving me opportunities. And I wish I could say a little bit more, but I gotta be like gagged ordered on a lot of stuff.
I totally understand, but you know what? I'm going to say that I'm happy for what I got so far. And I love it because it gives me the opportunity to kind of, invite you to come back. Look,
anytime. And I'll tell you in a private
conversation.
I'll spill the beans.
Ooh, honey, look.
I'll spill the beans. I'll leak the information, and it's okay, and I know I can, but like publicly, it's like because of the production and what they're doing, and but if you want to link up a couple minutes afterwards, and now the listeners are going to be like, wait, what are they going to talk about?
Look, we might tell you part 2. I might not. I don't know. I had an aunt. She used to always go,
October.
I don't know.
October. I could tell you a lot more in October.
But this is my favorite question that I ask. This is a very simple question, and I ask every single body, and I always go through this whole spiel about this is my favorite question, blah blah blah. But what advice can you give someone out there that's trying to do what you're doing right now?
Be humble, be honest, try your best, look around your surroundings, make sure you have people around you that are really good people, that are genuine people, and know your role. The thing that about this industry, and it's very similar, it ties into the boxing industry and also the music industry, is be humble. Go out there, do the best you can, work with people, be patient with yourself, be patient with others, but also have, eyes wide open. It's very important. Um, when you go into a role, be appreciative to what you have and give it your best because you have one life. I'm going to tell you something that changed my life. And I'm glad you actually asked this question. And it really changed my life. Okay. On one of my podcasts, going back to that, I had two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Chris Bird on. And he's been on my show twice. And he's a amazing, wonderful man. And he said to me something about like that he's training again and he's getting back, he wants to have one more fight, and it inspired me to do the same. And he says, you have one life, go out and get it. And when I heard that, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Like when I heard, I heard him say that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me. And this goes back about 4 or 5 months. And it stuck with me the whole time. And every single time I do something and someone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, one life. Hashtag it. One life.
Ooh.
Yes.
I am going to. I am going to hashtag that.
Yeah.
One life. I like that.
I'm telling you, when he broke that out to me, I always knew it. It was always in here. It was always instilled in my chest, in my heart, in my brain. But when he said it, there was something about when he said it that just made me want to do all this crazy stuff. It clicked.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend to people. If you're going to do it, go all the way, but know your role, meaning not only your part, but be respective, work with your co-actors. How do you get in? You just got to get good with people. You got to get good with people and show good respect, and then have them respect you in turn, because that's what life's all about.
Yeah.
It's about respect.
Beautiful. I love that. One life. And I like asking that question because I come to find out no one answers that question the same, because that question means something different to each person. But each time they give an answer, it's like a lesson or something to be wiser or, for the next person to hear. And I like that. One life. That gave me goosebumps. I love it.
Oh, Chris Bird is the best.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I
love it. You love it.
I'm going to hashtag that for real. For real. You're going to see that like all over the place.
I tell them all the time, and then we go back and forth. And this is what I love about podcasting. I had Chris on twice, and we still mess around, texting and whatever. We're friends now. And I'm like, this is a guy I've seen. I sat like ringside, or I sat like in the bleachers and the nosebleeds and watched them fight. And it's so funny because he actually beat my boy Evander Holyfield, and I was at that fight.
Wow.
And I had to go after him. I was like, I think it was one of the shows we did. I was like, I love you, Chris, but I'm still mad at you. You beat my boy. He was so cool with it. He was like, oh, man. He's like, I had to do what I had to do. I'm like, I get it, man.
He's like, yeah.
But that's just a very inspirational thing. And what you're doing is inspirational. And, the way you're handling your interviews. And I love it because it's very natural. And, I got to support the fact that you're out there doing your thing and you're trying.
Thank you. You too. I've been watching your interviews and just like looking you up, and I'm gonna let you on the inside here. When I thought you were just in We5 and stuff like that, I was still nervous because I'm like, oh God, yes, another person, I get to interview them and blah, blah, blah. But when I found out that you had your own podcast, I was like, I got a little nervous, but then something, I really dig your style, man. It's really cool. I love it. Cool.
Do you know what it is? I call it lunch or dinner. Like I tell people, like I'm very different. I don't come on and be like, "Hey, this is Johnny Signorella, and you can follow me here," and blah blah blah. No, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, bro? Like, how we doing over
How
here?"
you doing? How's everything going? Yes, yes.
And that's the way
Look,
I do it.
yes, you gotta be. Look, I'm a goofy chick, right? I could be serious if I need to be, but I am like so silly. Like my husband sometimes is like, "Oh my God," the energy that I have. I love it. And look, people who follow me and watch me, they're gonna learn that about me, and they're either gonna love it or hate it. So,
Can
I
I
don't know.
ask you a question as an
Sure,
interviewer myself? Like,
sure.
what do you do to pass the time outside of like podcasting and like acting and whatever you're doing? Like, what do you enjoy? Like movies, music? What's your thing?
Oh, I love to sing. I love to sing. I started out before getting into acting. And I love to write too. I I've got a new short story that I have written, and I love to write. I've been writing since I was a little girl. I'm the worst speller. Okay, so
Oh, I'm atrocious. Yep.
I am so like I don't know. Texting is not my friend. So they'll get the whole nother meaning, and I'm thinking I'm being deep, and they're like, but anyway, I love to write, and I've been doing that since I was a little girl. So I write. I'm a writer. I love to sing. That's me. And I'm hyperactive. So I have to be doing something all the time. So if I'm not on here doing a podcast or I'm not preparing for an upcoming role that I'm writing or I'm singing, cooking, chilling with the kids.
What kind of stuff do you like to cook?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am a pasta queen, although I have to give it up because of this little keto thing that I'm doing. But I'm like pasta, pasta, pasta. And I'm really good with chicken, teriyaki chicken. Honey, that's me. I can make some teriyaki chicken. And that's it. I'm not the best cook, but I have special dishes that I make that my kids are like, yes. So
I missed the we're from the East Coast originally, like tri-state area in particular, which has the best food on planet Earth. Is it the water? What is it? What do you think?
I think it's the water.
Yep.
Look, let me tell you, and I'm gonna say it's the water because when I was a kid, for some reason the faucet water was like the best water ever. I mean, am I lying? Is that for you too?
I
It's,
agree.
it's the
I don't
water.
know what it
It's
is.
the water.
I'm in Vegas and like, the food, like you sometimes you get a good thing and it's weird because COVID period. So sometimes like they have the limited menu and they don't have like certain things anymore. And you're like, okay, but you still go out and you try your best to have a good time. But whenever I go to New Jersey, which I do once a year, like the food there, I don't even care if it's during COVID because I went during COVID. It's just damn good. Like New York
Yes, it's so delicious. I'm gonna tell you a story. When we first
pizza.
moved uh down where we're here in North Carolina, when I first moved here, mind you, there was there was nothing. There was nothing, right? And then it was like, so, even the pizza, I was like, the pizza was so upsetting. I was so upset with the China. I was like so upset. So when we went to New York, I was like, I'm gonna hit a hot dog. I want some pizza and some Chinese food. That's what I wanted. I came here to North Carolina. Now North Carolina has stepped up their game. They have stepped up their game. They're doing a little something, something. They're best known for their Southern food. So
I gotta be honest. Like the Chinese food when I moved to Las Vegas was a huge disappointment. I've been out here for like 8 years now. Right, I came from New Jersey. I'm 42. I've been living in New Jersey at this point before I moved out here for like 30 something years,
mhm.
and I didn't really factor in how good the food is on the East
Right.
Coast. So when I got out here, I'm like, this is garbage. Like everywhere I was going, I'm like, and we're like fine dining. Me and my wife, we're doing things that are nice and getting nice fillets. You would think Chinese food was a major disappointment. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys don't have lo mein?
yeah.
Like, there's no lo mein. I'm like,
It's
pork lo mein, one of the staples of like my whole life, gone.
yeah,
Like a
yeah,
race.
yeah. It's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's
And
over.
so it's over.
It's just over. Look, when
Exactly.
I go up to New York, look, they already know. They're like, I'm the easiest person to entertain. They're like, take her to a hot dog stand, get her some pizza and some Chinese food, and she's good. Okay.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It's the water. I agree. It's the water.
It's the water. And the thing is, too, it's like, the pizza is like an insult to like just life in general. Like it's not even an insult to food. It's like sometimes you get a pizza and you're like, are you serious with this garbage? There's one place that's called Pizza Rock that I will promote that they do a good job. They got a good sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're inconsistent, and that happens with pizza. No matter where you are, sometimes the pizza is inconsistent depending on who's preparing it. But that was the hardest. Like everyone's like, how did you transition and get to Vegas from New Jersey? I'm like, the hardest part was food.
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't like the food. The food sucks
mm-hmm.
out here,
Mm-hmm.
and I found some places that have a good burger, have a good chicken sandwich, but I don't know, man. I think it's because we're in a desert. We get like mistreated. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think we get some things like they're coming from like California that take a minute to get over here and it
Oh
dries
God.
out and it's bad. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you.
Oh my goodness. It's just the food, I don't know, something about New York. And another thing that to me was a little bit different that I had to get used to is that you got to get in your car to go every place. And I kind of miss kind of walking outside, walking to where you need to go to, or it was like transportation. And then another thing, transportation stopped here. Well, now it's a little bit different, like at 5 o'clock. I'm like, what? you know, you know.
I gotta say this, like Las Vegas, all right, and not to keep the rant complaining going on my end, but I'm gonna bitch about Las Vegas a little bit. Okay, so what happens is
I'm gonna bitch about Las Vegas.
if you hit a traffic light in Las Vegas, and if you've never been here before, you might forget where you're trying to go because that red light might take about, and then this is no exaggeration, guys, 5 minutes. There's times where I've gone like to the post office or went to the grocery store and then came back home and I'm like, where am I going? Because that
Oh
light,
wow,
oh, dude, they'll hold you there. You could look it up too. I
wow.
actually did a fact check on it because that's another thing that I noticed when I moved out here. I was like, these lights are really long. And my wife's like,
Wow.
yep, because she actually lived here
Mm-hmm.
prior to me. And then I was like, I got to research this. I got to see
Mm-hmm.
what's going on because I like to do that. And you're like
Mm-hmm.
a podcaster and, you're into films and
So you
entertainment.
research why the
So
lights
you
was
research, like automatically you go in. You're like, I got to see what's going on over here now. And that's the
I
East
can see you
Coast.
doing your research. Like, wait a minute.
And they're like, Las Vegas is one of the longest light states in the world. Like they'll just hold you there.
I
Like
can
there's
see me
time.
now visiting Las Vegas and the lights are long, and I'm like, there we go.
The only thing good about it is that it's Las Vegas and it looks pretty aesthetically. But if you want good food and you want to get like from point A to point B, like without dealing with a lot of traffic lights, it's not for you. I Uber that shit. You know, like it's pretty wild. But speaking of wild, this was an amazing conversation. You were absolutely wonderful. I
Yes,
really appreciate you reaching out to me.
yes, yes, yes. So just for my audience, just to tell them so they can follow you, like give them all your handles, your Twitter, your was it IG, Facebook, what you got? Come on, give it to us.
All right. So on Twitter, I'm Boxing Music John. On YouTube, you just look up John Signorella. Now it's not Cinderella with the glass slipper. It's Signorella. Let me spell it. Signorella. John Signorella. And I'm everywhere, man. You could do the same thing on the Facebook. You could also do it on the Instagram. I'm at Johnny Sig, and I really appreciate you having me on and giving me the plug, and I'm looking forward to great things, collaborations with you in the future. And I want you on my show. We're gonna flip it.
Yes, I got to come on your show. I got to come on your show. I'm having so much fun. I really am. So I just, I really am. And like I said before, come back for part 2. You guys have been tuned in to the Dee Dee Walker live show. Shout out to RemTek Solutions. Shout out to EM Magazine. Shout out to the Dee Dee Walker live supporters. And shout out to everybody. Love you, man.
We love everyone out there in the universe. It's one love. And go out there and respect your neighbors. Everyone have a good time. Play safe. And remember, one life. Go out there and kick some butt. Go get it.